When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, 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 listeners. What a wonderful day it is today. Welcome back to the podcast, Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and boy, do we have a really great show again for you today. It's such a pleasure to bring the members of the LEAP community forward and other experts and influencers in their areas of expertise and industries to bring to you all the tips and tools and resources for you to be able to apply these to your business, for you to move your business forward, start that business up, scale that business, or accelerate that business. And if you haven't already, you need to go over to colleenbiggs.net/community. That's colleenbiggs.net/community and check out the LEAP community, because we've got so many opportunities for you to be seen, be heard, and be visible at the same time of building your business and networking with other women. So be sure to check that out. But before we get to today's show, we have Vicki Griffith here with us, coming out of the beautiful, warm Florida. I say that as I'm standing in Arizona today in a tank top because it's supposed to be 114. It's no joke. No joke now. It's gotten really hot here, and this is where I hibernate. So those of you in New York and, Vermont, when you hibernate in the winter months like January, February, where it's freezing, we hibernate, in June, July, and August here because it's just too hot to go outside. But I want to share with you that we have a wonderful sponsor for today, and her name is Dr. Melissa Balazan. And she has been a pharmacist for 22 years with over 40,000 clinical hours. So she knows medication like you and I, know how to take a shower daily. So she wants to know, are you in pain? Are you suffering from anxiety, depression, or constipation? Have you been treated for a chronic condition such as high blood pressure or high cholesterol? And are you tired of being put on medication after medication? If you're finally ready to ditch the pills and discover the root cause, she is here for you. So together, she will peel back the band-aids, get rid of the unnecessary things that are treating the symptoms and usually causing other symptoms. And it's time to get to the root cause. Together, she's going to leverage the established benefits of Eastern and Western medication for you and focus on the true root cause of the issue and address it from the core. So if you are ready to find out why you're taking all these medications, or you're ready to ditch those pills, go over to askdrmelissa.net. That's askdrmelissa.net and schedule yourself a free consultation with Dr. Melissa Balazan today. She's a good friend of mine. She's helped me through a lot. So I highly recommend reaching out to her. All right, well, let's get back to our guest today, because I'm so excited that Vicki is here with us. She's written a book and is the author. Get this, I'm not saying it wrong. It's called Stuck Up, a breakthrough path to unstuck. And you can be right about everything and still have nothing. She's a certified hypnotist. Like I said, she's from the sunshine state of Florida, where she thinks 65 degrees is cold. I think 65 degrees is cold. I actually think, 70 degrees is cold, and I've got my boots on. Vicki lives with her husband and their rescue dog, Kim. Welcome to the show, Vicki.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah. Well, it's so great to have you here because, you've taken some big leaps in your life, and you haven't always been on this path, of helping people get unstuck. And, what does a life look like unstuck, right? And most people might say, well, I'm not stuck. Well, I think that we could all admit that we're stuck somewhere in our lives, right? There's somewhere that we're refusing to work on, or it just is unbearable to get to the core of what it is that is causing, keeping us paralyzed in one area of our life. And I'll share with everyone that a dear friend of mine, Jerry Bowers, gave me a book for my birthday called Forgiveness. I think that's what it's called. And it is about forgiving people and the art of forgiveness. And I never realized how much turmoil and tortures in my life, going all the way back to the day I was born, of people I've not forgiven and things that have happened to me my entire life. And until you do the exercises and write them down and go through the process, you start uncovering old wounds of things that you didn't even realize you were carrying around with you that are debilitating in certain areas of our life. So today we're going to talk about this. Let's get unstuck. Let's go back to your past, Vicki. You've lost a lot of weight. Tell us what your life was like before that time. And then when did enough become enough, or what happened? What led you? There's always an event that happens.
Well, I appreciate everything you said. And I think sometimes we aren't aware that we're stuck. It's very sly. So like you said, until you start investigating it, and it could be something so simple that you didn't even, it kind of felt like water running off a duck's back, but yet it's stuck somewhere within you. And every now and then you bump up against it, but you're not even sure why or what it is, or how come you're sitting in front of your computer being very busy on Facebook when you should be making sales calls. So that's kind of what's happening, is the outpushing of the results, but we still don't want to see it. So I appreciate you saying all of that. So I didn't lose weight. I actually released weight. The subconscious mind freaks out when you say lost. So think about what happens when you lose your cell phone, right? You panic. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it is. Running from room to room, asking someone to call it. You get a little out of control. Well, that's what happens with weight loss. Is the mind and body goes, wait a minute, what's happening? I don't understand. This is scary, and panics. So I released the weight. I've kept it off now for 20 years or longer, and it was around 70 pounds. But what happened was something similar to what you were talking about. It was a lifetime experience of ignoring, shying away from the situation that I was fat. It made me feel badly about myself, but I wasn't willing or didn't know how to change that. There was some anxiety around it, and I followed every single diet that I could come across, hoping that that would be the answer. And yet again, disappointed, because I was back to eating the donuts and the sugar-free colas and all of those things that I used to eat, and wanting more. And craving more, and craving all of the foods that I knew, according to these diets, weren't good. And seriously, I've done pretty much all of them. And I took the leap one day, even as miserable as I was fat, having just finished a fast food lunch of a large size fry. And I did drink Diet Coke. So I did have that. And I think it was a Whopper or a single, Dave Wendy's single, whatever, feeling miserable. The food made me feel miserable, but worse yet was the emotional attachment I had around what I felt about myself from eating those foods. And I went totally against all advertising and marketing and what I had learned, and I stopped dieting. And that's when I started releasing the 70 pounds. So the leap was to believe in myself. The leap was to believe in something other than what I was being told was the right way to do it, and develop my own way. And that has become a program for my clients now. And they find their way to their ideal weight without having to give up all their favorite foods. Do they make changes? Sure. Do I still eat fast food every day like I used to? No. But I don't want it. That's not something that I'm desperate for like I was before. And I'm not deprived. So I love what I'm eating now. And that's what happens for my clients too.
That is such the key, isn't it? Is not depriving yourself. And, you made a good point, Vicki, we could be stuck in, any area of our life, and you don't even know it until you start investigating. So for the clients that you work with, have they already figured out where they're stuck? Do they come to you saying, I'm stuck in this specific area? Or is it that they think that something's bugging them in their life, but you uncover and working with them that they're really stuck somewhere else, right? Because it's the core that festers this, right? It's an open gaping wound that somehow got infected over time. And we're now just treating like the aftermath of what's happening, right? And not really getting down to the core of what it is. So give us a little example of a client that you've worked with, or how you work through that with your clients.
Well, I adore your sponsor because Melissa is, like she said, we put Band-Aids on our emotions as well as our physical healing. And so removing the Band-Aid to look what's there, but in a very safe way. Otherwise, the brain and the mind doesn't change. That's why people can't change. The brain shuts it down because it's too scary. And the mind goes, oh, okay, yeah, it's scary. You're not going to go there. So that's what I do, is I help it become safe. Now, your question was, do they come to me? And it almost made me giggle out loud. Do they come to me thinking they know what it is? And I will say yes. They normally do come to me and they'll say, well, it was my mom and she said when I was 11. It's not always that case. Or they'll come to me with a symptom. So they'll come to me for weight loss, which is really a symptom. It's not the issue. And we'll start investigating what caused that, what's going on around that. And it could be something that a parent said, or how they were treated around food or their weight when they were young. It could be something an outsider of the family said to them. And then here's what the very interesting piece is. It could be a perception. So as a child, we have a very limited brain capacity. The brain's not fully wired until it's about 22, 25 for males. Sorry, guys, but that's the truth. And so when you're 6 years old and someone says something to you, you're going to create a story about it, about yourself, and live by that story for the rest of your life, unless, like you said, you investigate it, you kind of pull back the blanket or the Band-Aid and look at it very safely and discover that statement, that story you've created about yourself is not true. It was a perception you made at 6 based on a limited brain capacity to make a decision about you. And they may not have even meant it in the way that you took it. So there's a lot of, I don't want to call it complicated. It's a stepping stone process that we look at one thing that leads to another. Does that mean that we're all crazy? I suppose it could. I suppose it could, in a good way. It's fascinating to me how the brain and the mind want to keep us safe. And so it keeps a lot of this stuff kind of buried or hidden. Yeah. However, the outpicturing of it is overweight, over drinking, overworking. There's a lot of symptoms to that core, like you talked about, that isn't being addressed, that we consider normal.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you what the symptoms were. It was literally the next question I was going to ask you, and you went right into it. So, like you said, if you're cruising on Facebook for hours instead of making the phone calls or sending the emails or attending that networking event that you needed to for your business to meet other people, if you're fearful of going out of your home and meeting other people, if you are spending your time watching TV and instead of doing the things that are necessary for you to do, these are all symptoms of what's keeping you stuck. The same of like you talked about yo-yo diets. And I think we need to caution and remind everybody that just because society and culture are spotlighting and highlighting something that might be the new craze doesn't mean that it's right for you, right? And I love that you talked about losing weight and becoming yourself and feeling more confident through the process of the weight is just the symptom. It's not the root cause of what is going on in someone's body, right?
Right.
It's kind of like when we talked about our sponsor, how if you have headaches and if you have indigestion and you're on high blood pressure medication, you're now on an indigestion medication and a headache medication because the medication is causing these two other things, right? So we're just treating the root cause. So instead of continuing to treat symptoms, when you ask yourself, why do I have high blood pressure? And start going through the questions of, what does my day look like? What do I eat? How do I move? What are my exercises? What, right? When we utilize our bodies, our movement, our health, food as medicine, all of these things, as Eastern medicine will tell you, and still is valid today for those that don't take any medication, that you can heal your own body, right? We can heal cuts, wounds. We can heal hurt, heartache, all of these things, but it's really tough to do that on your own. Wouldn't you say, Vicki? You work through a hypnosis with individuals. What is that like, and how does that shift them? Because you become an accountability partner to them as well. It's scary to uncover these pieces.
It is scary to uncover, and that's a leap of faith that a lot of people have to take, is to realize and to trust someone. They need to be in a position where they can trust the person they're working with so that it is safe. That is my number one goal for all of my clients, to make sure they are safe in these changes. Sometimes that takes 12 minutes and sometimes that takes 12 months. It's just how much they have tried to protect themselves through their lives. And some people are very, very willing, but you only need just a little mustard seed to be willing, and you can make changes. So there is hope for everyone. I want them all to know that, and to just find someone that you feel that you can trust with who you truly are. Unfortunately, in our society too, I have found that we have masked ourselves up emotionally long before we did physically before the virus. And that mask is still pushing us into areas emotionally in our lives that we're not feeling comfortable with. And here's what I find is happening is, as society as a whole, as I'm kind of talking with people, we all got through the 2 years pretty well. We really did. But now the aftermath of that, and now the virus is still around, a different version of it. The tragedies that have been happening in our society, and just the emotional wearing that we've had, that it's wearing us down. Mm-hmm. And that certainly needs support. So whether it's weight loss, which sounds really superficial, but it's not. I know how much agony I was under because I felt fat all the time. And my clients too. Or if you're not able to create the goals or make the goals that you're looking for in your business, that's agonizing. So look at the emotional component. And are you really willing to continue to do that? Are you really willing to stay miserable and to continue to prove, that's where my last book came out, prove that belief system about yourself as right, which means I can't do this, I'm not good enough, all of those type of things. Are you ready to stop it?
Yeah.
Let's do something different, because I know you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd like to ask the listeners, now that you're listening to what Vicki had said, where in your life are you feeling stuck? That you cannot move forward in solving this conundrum, this hurt, this pain, whatever it may be, and you need assistance. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe you feel stuck at your job. Maybe you feel stuck in the life that you created for yourself, and now you don't like it. And you decided, I don't want this. This isn't the life I wanted. Or you started a business and you're feeling overworked And you wonder, why did I do this business if I was going to work, 100 hours a week? That's not what I started a business for. I started it for freedom of time. And now I'm even busier than I used to be. And, that one you definitely want to call me on because you shouldn't be working that hard. Life is not that hard when it comes to building a business if you're doing the right things. But do you want to take us through? And I know I didn't ask you this prior, so you don't have to. I didn't know if maybe you had a small exercise or something that, you could take us through, whether it's listening or breathing or something that where we can kind of tune in and get quiet for a minute to listen to an area of our life that might be nagging at us. I don't know. I'm making this up. So if you don't have something, Vicki, you just tell me you don't have something and we'll create a link or, for them to go to it later. But I was just wondering if we could take a moment to either give them steps or do a quick exercise or something that could be
Absolutely.
Okay.
So this is what I just had a video conference with my private clients.
I should say this first. Let me preface this.
Right.
If you're driving, don't do this exercise.
Correct.
Pause it, listen to it when you get to where you're going, maybe in a parking
Right.
lot. It's only going to be a few minutes, but please don't do this if you're not in a safe area where you can do this exercise. I just thought it would be nice to take advantage of the time that we have with Vicki for her to share something with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for preferencing that. I appreciate that. So as I said, I found out there's a lot of tension still. There's a lot of tension, a lot of uncertainty still. And it's coming out many different ways. So it's coming out through sadness, it's coming out through anger, it's coming out through withdrawal, or the opposite of that. So they're becoming a personality that they're not sure who they were. And my clients were texting me and saying, the energy feels really wonky right now. And I'm like, you're right, because it is. And going back to what's the number one thing we all need and want to feel is feel safe. So I shared this technique with them, and I'll talk through it the first time, and then we'll go ahead and do it the second and third time. It's very quick. It's very easy. I don't believe in taking long time to help move anything. I don't think we need to. If you want to, that's fine. I'm not saying that's wrong. Yeah. But I'm not the personality that lights candles and sits in the lotus position. I've just never been that type. I want it now. And I'm the Violet, the blueberry girl in Willy Wonka. I want it now. So here's what I've discovered is if you put your hand on your chest, one or both, it doesn't matter. I'm right-handed.
Okay.
And the reason why we're doing that is because if you've ever held an infant and you're looking at their eyes, you're usually patting them on the chest as well. It's a very comforting feeling. As adults, we still want this. Take a deep breath in. And as you release the breath, say, I am safe. You're going to take another deep breath in. And again, you're going to say, I am safe. And one more time. And release, I am safe. So let me kind of break that down a little bit, and then we'll do it a couple more times. So one is the pressure on your chest is comforting. So that will automatically help your body to calm down. Breathing helps your body to calm down. It also brings oxygen into your brain so you can think more clearly. So maybe you're at a decision-making place or you're just feeling anxious. This can help calm you so your brain will think more clearly about the situation. You can smile. If you didn't do that, you can smile while you're breathing in. That takes dopamine into the brain and serotonin, so you'll feel better. It's crazy, but just smiling can do that. And the words, I am safe. I'm going to give you 3 phrases. These are words that we want to hear as children. You're safe. So if you say, I am safe, then you're going to feel that. So that's kind of breaking down the process that I created this process. The next one, you're going to do the same thing, hand on your chest, breathe in. And as you release, say, it's going to be okay. And one more time or 2 more times, breathing in and out, it's going to be okay. And a 3rd time, It's going to be okay. And there's one more phrase that we long to hear when we're a child, and that's I'm okay. So you can do one more round, breathing in and releasing, I'm okay. And again, I'm okay. And a third time, I'm okay. Very good. So yay, why are we doing that? Notice I was declaring it in many different tones of my voice. Do that. Do it in a demanding voice, but declare it. And why 3 rounds of 3? Because 3 is a very powerful spiritual number. And so we're calling upon that spiritual evidence to help us as well.
Yeah. And for those of you that, you can always go back and listen to this and just go to this episode of 22, this is episode 22 of Take the Leap. And you can replay this part if you need, something to remind you of what the exercise was that Vicki offered today. She's incredible. You guys got to see it firsthand of just the start of what she can do with her clients. And she has a lot of different areas on social media and YouTube that I know that she's got some great videos out there. So do you want to tell them where they can find you? I know we have all the links already there for them at their fingertips. If you're watching us on Facebook under, Colleen Biggs, you'll be able to see her links as well.
Yes, I am all over social media. And so Vicki Griffith Breakthrough, if you search for me, you will find me. But if you would like to talk about what's personally going on for you, I'm going to put in the chat my calendar link, and you can just go ahead and sign up for an appointment with me. It's complimentary. And let's talk about what's going on for you and help you move through with so much more ease than you can ever imagine.
Okay, wonderful. So we will also have that link available for all of you right there at your fingertips to be able to have that as well. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can click on that link and schedule some time with Vicki to talk about privately what you're going through and see if you're a good candidate for someone that could work with Vicki, as well as, of course, all of her other links are there. And I suggest you go subscribe to her on her YouTube channel, connect and get to know her on LinkedIn, follow her on Facebook, as well as Instagram. So Vicki, thank you so much for being our guest today and being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It was wonderful. All right, ladies, you heard it right here. This is just the start of how you can get unstuck. And it's by means nothing that happens quick. It's a process. So be patient with it. And remember, you're the only you that has ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. So how you pioneer your future is up to you. You want to stay stuck? Stay stuck. Stay in torture. Stay in turmoil. Stay overweight. Stay unhappy. Stay in that relationship. Stay in that dead-end job. That just sounds awful. It just makes me feel yucky talking about it. No one wants that in their life. But no one can change your life but you. You're the only person that can give yourself that permission to do it. So you get 2 choices. Today, tomorrow, the next day when you wake up, your choice is, do I live today the way I want to design my life? Or do I live today in default and just allow myself to stay stuck? I say get unstuck. Or as Vicki would say, get stucked up. So you get to break through and get unstuck at the same time. So Vicki, thank you again for being here today. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. And again, we will see you next week. And until then, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.